Hello, my name is James Powell. This is a screencast on my Capstone project. I designed a mini-course called Using AI to Grade Assignments in Economics. I'll walk you through my work and look at the course design and its elements. My instructional design document guided my thinking and design decisions. I first started this project in August 2024. As an economics teacher, I was interested in how AI can and will be used to grade students' papers in the future. I identified a knowledge gap and started to map out what a mini-course would look like for professional teachers. The speed at which the AI technology is developed means the rapid instructional design approach is the most valuable in course development. I thought about course learning outcomes and learning objectives and tried to make sure that everything is measurable and appropriate. When I designed the course, I broke it into two halves. The first being the ethical and the theoretical, the second being the practical. However, when I started using Google Classroom, I realized that I needed to break some of the bigger units that I had envisaged into smaller components, partly because that was the practicality of the LMS, and partly because it just made a lot more sense when I was trying to chunk the data and make it more accessible and easy for students to navigate. I chose Google Classroom as the LMS because, in the circumstances of completing this course, it was the most appropriate choice. It is free and easy to use, but in the future, I'd like to try a different LMS with more advanced features. The course has a clear structure. There is an introduction and orientation section. There are components in the middle, followed by a final policy proposal and submission. The introduction has an orientation exercise where learners get to introduce themselves and make connections with fellow learners, and a course syllabus where it outlines the features of the course with a PDF document attached. The learning units have a variety of different activities. There is opening screencasts. There is also a variety of different reading and videos that learners can go into, follow the links, and then complete exercises that have been set for them. When creating activities, I tried to think very carefully about the learner's skills. So when we have a look, for example, at ethical considerations, in this first activity, transparency, privacy, and AI grading, I have identified different command words. Look carefully and you can see three different command words: identify, propose, explain. If we come out of that activity and instead go down to the discussion board, we can then see, again, two different command words: identify and evaluate. Here, I was trying to think very carefully about how we can test learners to think in different ways and really get them to think about how they're displaying their skills. With each activity, I've designed a rubric. In this example, it is a rubric for the discussion about benefits and risks of using AI in grading. There is a clear levels-based mark scheme. There's a criteria for the different categories, so you can see knowledge and understanding, use of course materials, critical thinking, participation, quality of written English, timeliness. And then there's a descriptor of what the candidate needed to do in order to achieve full marks. I hope this clearly sets out what the expectations were for the candidates and then allows them to see how the quality of their work fits in with how it's being graded. At the end of the learning units, there is also a quiz. The quiz is really there just to allow learners to test their knowledge and get instant feedback on how they've performed. One of the features I liked about Google Classroom was its ease of use. With very little experience, I found it quite straightforward to navigate. I could create forms or quizzes in Google Forms and then easily drop them in with all of the technology well integrated. However, I did find Google Forms to create a quiz very limited. So again, If I were to move this project forwards, I'd like to explore different LMSs that I would have to pay for, but I think could deliver a much more slick, polished final product. I have included visuals and graphics in each of the three main units. However, this feature of Google Classroom was particularly frustrating. I did my best, but I couldn't figure out a way of making it visually acceptable, so this is one of the reasons why I'd like to use a different LMS in the future. I've tried to make sure that my course and all the learning activities align with the course learning objectives. I believe that it's a very good first draft, and there are many things that can be done to really polish and improve this if I were to roll it out for professional use. All of my work for this course can be found here in my portfolio. Thank you for reviewing my course, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.